something kind of weird. A small clothing brand released a hoodie. And I mean a really basic hoodie. Nothing revolutionary, no crazy technology, no premium materials, nothing like that. Just literally a hoodie. And yet, it sold out in under 4 minutes. Yeah, 4 minutes. Now, naturally, you'd think, okay, maybe people genuinely loved the product. Maybe it was just exceptionally well made. Or maybe, I don't know, it had some unique feature nobody else had. Well, not really. Because here's the strange part. The hoodie itself wasn't special. At all. So then, what exactly happened here? Why would thousands of people rush to buy something completely ordinary? Well, because that brand understood something, honestly, a little disturbing about human psychology. Something most people experience every single day without ever noticing it. And once you start seeing it, you begin realizing that a lot of businesses out there aren't really selling products. No, they're engineering desire. And this is the uncomfortable part. They're using your own brain against you. Now think about this for a second. Every single day, thousands, probably millions actually, of people buy things they never planned on buying. And I'm sure you've done this too. We all have. You open a website just to browse around a little, and somehow, 10 minutes later, you're entering your card details. Kind of ridiculous when you think about it. But it happens constantly. Limited edition sneakers, exclusive memberships, special product drops, websites screaming things like, only 3 left in stock, sale ends in 2 hours, almost sold out. And somehow, the second something starts becoming harder to get, we suddenly want it a whole lot more. Which is, honestly, pretty strange. I mean, think about it. Why does the human brain suddenly assign more value to something just because it's becoming unavailable? Why does scarcity make us care more? Well, to answer that, we need to go back to a really strange psychological experiment. Back in 1975, a psychologist named Stephen Warchel ran an experiment. And what he discovered was honestly fascinating. The setup was incredibly simple. Nothing complicated, no expensive lab equipment, no advanced technology. Just 2 glass jars. That's it. Inside both jars, he placed identical cookies. Same cookies, same ingredients, same taste. Literally. The exact same product. Now here's how he set it up. The first jar had 10 cookies inside. The second jar had only 2. And participants were asked one simple question. Which cookies seem more valuable? Pretty simple question, right? Well, here's where things start getting weird. People consistently rated the nearly empty jar as more desirable. Not slightly more desirable, significantly more desirable. Even though, and this is important, nothing about the cookies had changed. Same product, same quality, same taste. Nothing changed, except one thing: availability. And somehow, the brain interpreted scarcity as value, which revealed something
honestly, kind of disturbing. Humans don't evaluate products objectively. We like to think we do, but we really don't. Instead, we evaluate access. And the harder something becomes to obtain, the more important it suddenly feels. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Because brands eventually discovered something far more powerful than that. Scarcity doesn't just create value. No, it creates urgency. And urgency completely destroys rational thinking. And psychologists actually have a name for this. It's called loss aversion. And once you understand this concept,
you start noticing it everywhere. The idea itself is surprisingly simple. Humans hate losing opportunities way more than they enjoy gaining rewards. Let me say that again, because this matters. The pain of missing out is often stronger than the pleasure of actually buying something. Crazy, right? But businesses know this. Trust me, they know exactly how powerful this is. And that's exactly why you constantly see messages like, last chance, offer expires tonight, only 2 seats left, limited stock available. Because at that exact moment, something strange happens inside your brain. You stop asking yourself, do I actually need this? And without realizing it, your brain starts asking a completely different
question. Something much more emotional. What if I lose this forever? And the scary part? That single question is often enough to make people buy instantly. But here's the thing. Scarcity actually goes much deeper than most people realize. Because there's another psychological effect happening here. And honestly, this one is even more fascinating. It's something psychologists call reactance theory. Sounds complicated, but the idea itself is surprisingly simple. Basically, the moment people feel like their freedom is being restricted, their desire immediately increases. Weird, right? The forbidden becomes attractive. The unavailable becomes irresistible. The rare suddenly feels valuable. And the second people think, wait, I might not be allowed to have this, their brain starts wanting it even more. Which explains something really interesting. People often don't become obsessed because they love the product. No, they become obsessed because they hate feeling excluded. And smart brands, they understand this perfectly. They know exactly which emotional buttons to press. And once you see it, you start noticing it absolutely everywhere. Seriously, look around the internet for a minute. Small online brands are doing this everywhere. A product page says, only 5 left in stock. A digital course says, enrollment closes in 3 hours. A creator launches new merch and says, this collection will never come back. And suddenly, thousands of people rush to buy. Instantly. No hesitation, no second thoughts. And honestly, this is where things start getting a little scary. Because most of the time, the scarcity isn't even real. Yeah, seriously. Sometimes the inventory is completely unlimited. Sometimes countdown timers quietly reset themselves. Sometimes the urgency is entirely manufactured, artificial,
completely fake. But by the time you notice what happened, it's already too late. Because your brain has already made the decision. And the purchase already happened. And this is exactly why small brands often outperform much bigger companies. Now think about it. Big companies usually rely on reputation, years of trust, brand recognition, massive advertising budgets. But smaller brands, they play a completely different game. They manufacture desire itself. They understand one brutal truth about human behavior.
And honestly, once you understand this, you can't unsee it. People don't buy based on logic. We love pretending we do. But we don't. Not really. People buy when emotion overrides logic. And scarcity happens to be one of the fastest psychological shortcuts to make exactly that happen.
So, if you run a business, there's something really important you should understand here. There are 4 different types of scarcity, and the smartest brands combine all of them together. First, quantity scarcity. Only 10 left. Simple. Second, time scarcity. Offer ends tonight. Classic. Third, access scarcity. Invite only. Members only. Limited access. And finally, identity scarcity. Not everyone qualifies. Exclusive selection. Private access. And when brands combine all 4, something powerful happens. Because they stop selling products
and start controlling perception. Which, if you think about it, is far more powerful. So next time, you're scrolling online, and suddenly a product feels impossible to ignore. I want you to stop for a second. Seriously, pause, and ask yourself something uncomfortable. Do I actually want this product? Or did someone carefully design the conditions that made me want it? Because sometimes, the strongest marketing in the world isn't convincing people to buy. No, it's making people afraid not to buy. And once you truly understand that, you begin seeing the internet very differently. You stop seeing products, you stop seeing advertisements, and you start seeing psychological manipulation hidden everywhere, quietly shaping decisions you thought were yours. And maybe that purchase was never really your decision to begin with.